People are losing their houses. This mortgage crisis can become a big economic crisis for our country. I traveled all over Ohio with your governor. We went to the places in this state that were the hardest hit by the mortgage crisis. We heard about predatory lending. We heard about false and misleading appraisals. We met people who had their homes just literally yanked out from under them through no fault of their own. Well, President Bush and John McCain didn't seem to pay any attention. Middle class, working families in trouble, well, they were invisible. But when the crisis finally hit Wall Street, and big financial firms came calling, well, then all of a sudden, President Bush, John McCain, and the Republicans snapped to attention. A big bank is going to fail, bail it out. A big financial firm is going to fail, bail it out. A big insurance company is going to fail, bail it out. Well, what about the millions of Americans losing their homes and their jobs every single day? So we can help Americans losing their houses by making sure the Republicans lose the White House. It's happening here in Youngstown, it's happening in Toledo, it's happening in Akron, it's happening in Cleveland, it's happening in Dayton, it's happening in Cincinnati, it's happening in the city, the suburb, and the country. People are watching the stock market plummet. Retirees are seeing their nest eggs starting to crack. Small businesses can't find credit. A lot of college students can't find affordable loans. People are afraid to check their 401ks, right? I had somebody tell me the other day that the envelope came in the mail, and he stood there and he held it up to the light, and he just kind of put it to one side, hoping that somehow it'll grow, and doesn't actually find out. We know that there's so much anxiety right now. You know, I drove by that magnificent Lordstown plant. Where I was privileged to visit, and I know there's some folks here from the union that hosted me when I was there, and I saw the future. I saw what they were doing there. Wouldn't it be nice to have a president who actually cared about manufacturing, who would work to support manufacturing in America? So my friends, in this election, failure is not an option. That's why I am barnstorming the country. I was in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, I'll be in Florida, I'm going to all the battleground states, making the case as strongly as I can that we cannot afford 4 more years of the last 8 years, and that is what we take to pay it off. If you listen to the debates, and if you watch this election, you know that the Republicans don't have any new answers. Republicans' answer to jobs being outsourced, same old tax incentives to the companies taking their jobs and moving them. The Republicans' answer to a broken health care system, throw everybody to the mercy of the insurance companies, tax your employers' supported insurance, no real protection for people with pre-existing conditions. The Republicans' answer to rising economic insecurity, well, you heard the congressman, privatize Social Security. This is just a bad idea that won't die. The only way to bury it is by making sure the Republicans do not have a chance ever to privatize your So the concerns that people talk about around the kitchen table or at work or in the supermarket aisles, we know that there are better answers than what we have seen coming from the Republicans. We know that John McCain offers more of the same. John McCain has proposed more tax cuts for the oil companies and the drug companies. He has said repeatedly that the fundamentals of the economy are strong. Because to John McCain and George Bush, the middle class isn't fundamental, it's ornamental. They don't seem to understand that to have a strong and prosperous nation, you must have a strong and prosperous middle class. That's why sending the Republicans to clean up this economic crisis would be like asking the bull to clean up the china closet. So let's ask ourselves, if you believe that the Republicans deserve 4 more years, then I guess you're willing to overlook the evidence of the last 8 years. But if you remember that the Democrats inherited an economic crisis in 1993 and cleaned it up. You see, there's a historic pattern here. It took a Democrat to clean up after the first President Bush, and it's going to take a Democrat to clean up. Leadership will once again rise from the ashes of the bushes.